call it a rainbow. Not a rain arc, not a rain circle, not a rain dome. We call it a rainbow. Why bow? Listen to Genesis chapter 9 from verse 1. Then God blessed Noah and his sons, saying to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number and fill the earth. The fear and dread of you will fall on all the beasts of the earth and on all the birds in the sky, on every creature that moves along the ground and on all the fish of the sea. They are given into your hands. Everything that lives and moves about will be food for you. Just as I gave you the green plants, I now give you everything. But you must not eat meat that has its lifeblood still in it, and for your lifeblood I will surely demand an accounting. I will demand an accounting from every animal, and from each human being too I will demand an accounting for the life of another human being. Whoever sheds human blood, by humans shall their blood be shed, for in the image of God has God created mankind. As for you, be fruitful and increase in number, multiply on the earth and increase upon it." Then God said to Noah and to his sons with him, "I now establish my covenant with you, and with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that was with you, the birds, the livestock, and all the wild animals, all those who came out of the ark with you, every living creature on earth. I will establish my covenant with you. Never again will all life be destroyed by the waters of a flood. Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth." And God said, "This is a sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living creature with you, a covenant for all generations to come. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Whenever I bring clouds over the earth and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember my covenant between me and you and all living creatures of every kind. Never again will the waters become a flood to destroy all life. Whenever the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and all living creatures of every kind on the earth." So God said to Noah, "This is the sign of the covenant I have established between me and all life on earth." You see, God is always attaching signs to covenants. Now, what is a covenant? That word was many times there in that passage. Actually, it's the first time that that word appears in the Bible. We'll think about this a lot more in a later video, but for now, a covenant is a promise. It's a blood-earnest promise that God makes to us, that He loves us, that He's for us, and that He will do certain things for us. So that's what a covenant is. It's a promise from God. But God is always attaching signs to His covenant and saying, "You can trust my promises because look, here's this thing." We might be familiar with something like baptism. We might be familiar with something like the bread and the wine of communion. But there are always signs attached to God's covenants. And here is the first covenant mentioned in the Bible, and here is the first sign. It is a rainbow. A rainbow to let us know that God will never flood the earth again, that He is committed to the earth. He has promised it. But again, why is it called a rainbow? Why not a rain arc? Why not a rain dome or a rain circle? Actually, the word for bow there is a word for a war bow, as in a bow and arrows kind of a bow. And so what God is saying is, I will promise you life in the future. I will promise the life of the whole world, and as a sign, I will remind you of a war bow. Well, that's odd, isn't it? That the sign that was meant to reassure us of life is actually a bow that should remind us of death. And yet, think about it. Which way is the bow facing? Where is the arrow of judgment pointing? You see, you might expect the arrow of God's judgment to be pointed down here to earth. After all, God has just reminded us in chapter 6 that the intentions and the inclinations of the thoughts of human hearts are only evil all the time. You might expect that the rainbow should go like that and that the arrow of justice and judgment would come down to us. But no, there is a bow in the sky, a war bow. Because yes, the evil in this world is serious, so serious it demands judgment, it demands justice. After the flood, we become very aware that humanity is just as wicked after the flood as they were before the flood. And so there is a judgment to be faced. But notice who it is that faces such judgment. Notice which way the rainbow faces. You see, there is an arrow of justice, and it was driven into the heart of the Lord Jesus, the man of heaven. He is the one who comes and promises life to the world. And how does He do it? By taking death. by taking that arrow of justice to his own heart. And in this way, we are reminded that God has a promise to this world, covenant love for this world, that will take him to hell and back, where he is so committed to this world, he would rather die for it than live without it. That's what a rainbow tells you. So next time you see the rainbow in the sky, don't just be dazzled by the colors, be astonished by the love.